Hi everyone, welcome to Awkward Author. My name's Alyssa Grasso, and this is my weekly vlog and podcast about my sometimes awkward, always awesome author life. I do have, as I promised last week, I do have my author income report for you this week. I'm going to talk about why I turned down a an offer, I guess, to go to an in-person book festival author event, and I'll update you on my writing progress or lack thereof, as the case may be. So I guess I'll get started with the writing progress. As I mentioned last week, I had kind of hit, I don't want to say a brick wall, but it kind of felt like a brick wall with the book that I'm working on. Now, this is the third book in a trilogy, and really what happened was, initially I just, I was going back to look at some stuff from the first book that was going to, a character that was going to make a reappearance in the third book. I realized that I'd left things a little differently than I thought I'd left them with that character, which changed how I was going to do things. That wasn't really such a problem because I think it's better the way that it is. So, that's why I'm not changing things in the first book, but want to change things in the third book. But as I was kind of going back through things and looking over things, because there are a lot of changes that I do need to make because of, the way I plotted things out, I really just wasn't happy with how the book was going. I don't want to say I wasn't happy with how it was going, because it was going along really smoothly, but as I was looking at my outline, there was just a lot of stuff that didn't, I felt like it could have been stronger. How's that? And so, yeah, so what I did was I sat down and, when I'm outlining, I think it really helps me to use pen and paper. I mean, I can't write with pen and paper, forget it. My hand would cramp up and I wouldn't get anywhere near as much done as I can get done when I'm typing. But yeah, I just sat down with pen and paper and just kind of got to the heart of things as far as the story goes. Like, before I was even outlining, just, what is going on here? Why is this happening? Why is this character here? Why do I have these different things going on? And how does all this stuff connect to one another? That's the key thing, I think, because I had these, separate storylines, and they sort of came together, but not really. And so, what I was doing end of last week and yesterday, Monday, was actually, working on an actual revised outline that I think is going to be a lot stronger. I'm not quite done with it because there's a few little things that I want to kind of get right at the end and make sure everything kind of makes sense, that all the, loose ends get, tied up, wrapped up, whatever, and, that it's a nice, satisfying conclusion and, nothing kind of comes out of left field sort of thing. So that's, the nitty gritty stuff that I'm working on right now. But, yeah, so as far as actual writing, I did nothing, because not that outlining isn't writing, it's a form of writing, but it isn't like I can give you a word count update or anything like that. My word count progress is 0 at the moment on this book, but that's not really 0 because there's a lot of stuff I've written that's, I'm going to keep. It's not, it's not going to get scrapped. And then there's some other stuff that's going to get revised. And I think, when it's all said and done, I will have a much stronger book on my hands. It's going to push back my timeline as far as getting this book done. Like I said, middle of October. That's a week away now. And yeah, well, that's not happening, okay? It's probably not even going to be done by the end of October at this point, just looking at how much stuff I've changed and, reconfigured to make the book ultimately better. But at the same time, it does, mean that I did a lot of work that's not going to get used. That was just kind of busy work. It's not really busy work, but I feel like with this revision, I have a better handle on the characters and the story and how everything needs to play out. So that's where we're at with that. It's definitely better to find this out now. I had written 28,000 words on this book, so it would have been better to find it out before I wrote a single word, obviously, but also it would have been much worse to have written everything, gotten to the end and be like, you know what, I really need to scrap a lot of this stuff and just revise the whole thing. So it's certainly better to catch this early on, and obviously I just didn't really do a good enough job, I guess, outlining it originally, and didn't really think some things through as well, maybe, as I should have. And I do feel like, taking this time to just kind of like, look at things a little more, in depth, and get to feel like, what is this character, what do they want, and, how does this all fit into this, grander scheme, this big story that I got going. So, like I said, it'll be better in the long run, but right now it's a little bit like, I feel a little bit like, I'm just not getting anything done, on this book, but I am in a way, I guess. So I received an email this week from a librarian. It's a library in New Jersey, like South Jersey, and not too far away from here. I guess it's probably a little bit over an hour's drive from here. I'm not even sure what town they were in, but, I know the general area where they are. So when I was first starting out as a new author, I was a traditionally published author, young adult author. I did a lot more in terms of in-person events. So I did quite a bit to do with the launch of my first book, my debut. I was part of a group of debut authors. We went into the city, and for me, it wasn't that big a deal. When I say the city, I mean New York. Not that big a deal for me because I lived within like commuting distance in New York. But there were people that, were coming from like Washington State, Arizona, Texas, all over the place. And so we all met up, did some events in the city around Book Expo Week, BEA Week in May. And it was, we drummed up a lot of excitement for our books. I think it was a, well worth it experience. I don't know that we sold a lot of books as a result of what we did, but I think it helped to get our names out there and make a name for ourselves. And I think all of us that were in that group, we were definitely not the top name authors, from our publishing houses. So we had to, do some legwork of our own to, get our titles out there and, make sure that the world knew about us, kind of thing. So we did those events in conjunction with the launch. I did some, different solo events, not too many, but a few solo events. And then I also joined a group of, like a regional group of authors who all write for the under 18 set. So everything from picture books on up to young adult books and, everything in between. And we were based in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, generally, right, all pretty much right around the same area. And so we would do events together. We did, just like bookstore signings, like group bookstore signings, as well as, different festivals. Not that we hosted them, but we would go, and in some cases we had like a group table at the festival. In some cases we were just, they seat the authors alphabetically or whatever like that. And so we might wind up together, but probably not, type of thing. But at least we were all there together. You knew people that you could, hang out with and have lunch with, and, take some photos with, and, post them on social media and that sort of thing. So I did a lot of that with, my first 3 books coming out, all young adult books. And, I don't regret that experience, but also at the same time, you do learn that it's like, especially when you're a traditionally published author, you don't make much on the sale of each book. So it's really a loss leader kind of experience, because you aren't going to sell that many books at these in-person events generally, especially if you're a young adult author. It's a little different, I think, if you're a picture book author, because I do notice at certain events, not all of them, but especially like the festivals that are, aimed at children and families, like children's book festivals, family, book festivals, whatever, the picture book authors can do pretty good. They can actually, I think, make it a profitable experience and sell books. Not even, even when you get into like chapter books in middle grade, there's some carryover of that, but I don't think they even do as well as the picture book authors. And then once you get up to young adult, it's a little bit trickier. You're definitely not going to sell as many books at an event. The other thing for picture book authors, as far as in-person stuff goes, are school visits. You can do pretty well selling books. It's a lot of work, but you can make it a profitable event. First of all, you should get paid for the school visit, and then also you should be selling some books. So it is, I think, a good way for picture book authors to make money. Again, the older your target audience gets, the more difficult it becomes to make that a profitable experience. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I did a lot of events, like, and there's different, like, just like I said with the debut thing, it is a chance to get your name out there. So there are some, like, tangential benefits, I guess, to doing these in-person events. We would do, like I said, we would do bookstore signings. Usually that meant the store would, order in your book from a book distributor, and usually they'd have you sign stock before you left, so that means you sign a book, so they can, be like, ooh, we have signed books here, and so even if somebody isn't, there at the event to buy your book, they might actually buy it later because it's on the shelf, and just getting your book on the shelves, signed or not, can be a benefit. By the way, a common misbelief I think that authors have is that once you sign a book, it can't be returned to the publisher because in traditional publishing, books are, fully returnable. They are an item that, if a publisher or if a bookstore doesn't sell it, they can, send it back to the publisher and get their money back, type of thing. So there is a misbelief among authors that, well, if you sign a copy, then it can't get returned, but that's not true. Signed copies can just as easily get returned for, full value as unsigned copies. So, hate to burst anyone's bubble, but that is the way it goes. So, there is, but just, having your books in the store, having some, signed copies with that fancy, autographed copy sticker on it, that can generate sales even, after the event is over. So there is some benefit to that. If you're, a self-published author, a lot of times the bookstore won't order your books from a distributor, but you can bring copies and sell them on consignment, and they might even let you leave some there to sell on consignment, and then you'd have to, whatever doesn't sell, you'd have to pick them up or have them shipped back to you or something like that. So there is benefits beyond like the immediate event as far as doing like a bookstore signing. Not so much with the book festival, because what you'll find is even when a bookstore is handling the sales for that event, I mean, they'll order in a bunch of copies, but anything that doesn't get sold is usually just getting sent right back to the publisher. I mean, it never even makes it to the store shelves, kind of thing. But there are sales, and when a bookstore's handling it, those sales should show up on Nielsen BookScan. So, that can help you, even down the road selling another book because your book sales numbers will look good, that sort of thing. So I don't mean to like be totally down on, doing in-person events, doing bookstore signings, doing bookstore festivals, but keep in mind, they tend to be like loss leader type events. Like you're not, when you calculate in your time, the travel expenses, even just driving, an hour or whatever to a library in South Jersey, it's not going to make, how can I put it? It's you're going to lose money on the deal is what I'm saying. So again, there are benefits to it, and depending on what your goal is, it might be worthwhile to you. For me, I don't want to sound like all jaded and everything, but I'm kind of at the point where it's like, I'm really hesitant to do any kind of event or festival because I know it's not going to be a super profitable experience. It's not going to be a profitable experience at all. It's going to cost me money. It's not, a benefit to me. It's going to cost me time. I don't really want to trek, an hour to some town, New Jersey that, I would not be going to anyway. And, this one happened to be one that's over the winter. So, around here, you always run into the problem that the weather could be iffy. So it's just like one more, thing to worry about and headache. And anyway, so it's just like, I turned down, the event, and like, years ago when I was first starting out, I probably would have jumped at the opportunity. I would have been like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah, I want to do this. This event happens to be specifically for teens, a teen book festival. I've done some of those before. Is it an enjoyable experience? Is it a money-making, profitable experience? In my experience, no, it has not been. So just some things to keep in mind, I guess, if you are an author. If you're an author who's been turned down for a festival or something you want to go to or weren't able to attend one, do not feel bad. You're not really missing out. There is, if you're a social person or whatever, it is nice to, interact with other authors. I've made some great friends from, these different groups I've been in and whatnot, but it's not, how can I put it? It's not like you're really missing out and, it's going to hurt your career or something because you weren't at some festival or whatever. It's an experience. You could probably do just as well, running a loss leader ad on, Facebook or Amazon or something where you're getting your name out there. You're not really making a profit on the ad, but, you're going to sell some books and it will probably be just as good for you in the long run as, doing one of these literary festivals or whatever. And you don't even have to, leave the comfort of your home kind of thing. So anyway, that's my 2 cents and, my experience, my somewhat jaded view of, doing these literary events and stuff. And by the way, I'm just talking about events where, I wouldn't have to pay to be there. There are some events where they actually charge you money to go and sell your books. I would strongly urge you not to to avoid those events. Again, though, if you're a picture book author, I know picture book authors who have done well. It depends on the event. So if you're not sure, certainly go on message boards, go on social media, and just talk to other authors out there and find out what their experience have been. If it's an established event that's gone on before. So anyway, enough on that. Let's get to the author income report since we're talking about making money, selling books, and I didn't make much money in the month of September. It was actually I just dropped something there. It was actually one of the slowest months I think I've had for selling books. And before I get into this, as you know, probably if you listen to these programs regularly, my books are available wide. Almost all of them are available wide, which means they are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, Kobo, Google. There's print versions out there. That said, this month, or the month of September 2019, all my sales were on Amazon. Okay, now I normally don't sell much on the other platforms, but this month was, I think this is the first time it's happened where it was all Amazon. So that was just sort of interesting to note. Now, I didn't sell many, honestly. Sales were definitely a lot slower than normal. What was interesting about this month is not that I sold more paperbacks than normal, but that I sold less ebooks than normal. So my paperback sales, I think, were a higher percentage than they normally are. So anyway, on Amazon in September of 2019, as far as paperback sales, I earned a total of $32.58 from my paperbacks, and from my ebooks, I earned a total of $38.32. So for a grand total of $70.90. A whole $70.90, which I'm not going to turn down. That's great. And when I was traditionally publishing and I was, waiting for royalties to come in, I mean, after that initial advance, I would have loved to have gotten a royalty check just for $70.90, and that would be a 6-month royalty check because I generally was not getting checks like that. So, that's for a month. Okay, that's fine. And this is passive income at this point, this $70.90, because I'm not doing anything to actively promote my books other than, obviously I put out these awkward author episodes every week, but I don't think I'm really selling books from doing this. And, I'll post things on social media and stuff, but I don't actually have any advertising campaigns, any paid marketing going at the moment. So, in that way, that I guess we could look at that as, passive income coming in. Would I like that passive income to be a little higher? I definitely would. And as I've said before, I will be in 2020 when I am putting out some new books, hopefully. I will be working a lot more on, marketing and hopefully reaching readers and selling more books. Because, I'd like to make more than $70.90 in a month for my books. So, yeah, a slow month overall, September. We'll see what October brings. So far, I don't see it being a hugely successful month, but who knows? The month is still young, I guess, as I record this. So that's what I have for you this week. I do put out new episodes of Awkward Author every week. I do put out an author income report once a month, once we turn the calendar page to a new month, and let you know what I made in the previous month. If you are interested in learning more about me and my books, you can check out my website, which is Alyssa Grasso. That's ALISSAGROSSO.com. And thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for watching. And I hope you guys have a great week. Hope you are making a little more progress than I am with my writing right now, or, that you're figuring things out too, and, making your books that much stronger. So, have a great week, everyone. I will see you and talk to you again next week. Bye for now.